I made a video recently about how I spent years in therapy, but Portugal did more for me than the therapy ever did. And instead of just explaining it, I thought I'd just show you. So come along with me for a typical Friday here, now that I have a lot more space and stillness in my life. Okay, so I have just got up and done my little morning routine. Now I am headed to the gym. I have got a really nice little easy Friday planned today. This is one of my favourite things about living here in Portugal, that I can kind of self-manage my time, and sometimes just works out that I have like a little day off during the week, and today it is Friday and I'm so looking forward to today because I have quite a like chilled morning planned, going to the gym, and then I'm gonna go and have breakfast at Rockallot, which is my favourite place in Setúbal, and then later I'm gonna get my hair cut, and I really need it cut because it's so long. It started to get super annoying in its length. I haven't had my hair cut for a really long time, so I'm really looking forward to it. And then later today I am going into Lisbon to celebrate Santos and my friend's birthday. So I've got a really packed day coming up. Super excited. Going to take you along with me and show you what a chill day here in Portugal looks like for me.
Morning on my skin, I let it settle in. Quiet in my chest, but I'm ready, yes. Small steps, clean slate, I'm moving my own pace. No rush, no show, just a steady glow. And I can feel it turn, every little spark I earn. Hands open, heart full, I'm learning how to hold. Step by step, I get there.
Okay, so I have just finished in the gym and I'm doing my usual walk down to Rockallot, which is a little cafe here, kind of on a beach. It's a small beach, but it's really beautiful. They are installing a like London Eye, Portugal Eye here, which is exciting. Kind of weird for it to just pop up like it has, but here we are. And I am really proud of myself for going to the gym today because it's a habit that I'm trying to rebuild into my life. When I was about 25, or between 20 and 25 when I was at university, I was often training as an athlete because I rode at university, and so it was kind of just built into my day that we would be training. I just followed a training plan, and then the last few years I have not really been exercising much, so since I moved to Portugal it's kind of one of my goals to try and get back into it, but in a way that is healthy, not so obsessive, and also doesn't impact my eating. I know I've talked about it before, but I did struggle struggle with quite a bit of an eating disorder when I was training as an athlete. So yeah, it's really nice to be able to rebuild that in like an environment where I feel healthy and safe. So I'm mainly trying to focus on lower body stuff, trying to build my strength, and yeah, just generally feeling like powerful, strong, because I really miss that feeling. It's really nice to be able to feel like you could just run if you needed to, or lift something if you needed to. And I've noticed the older I get, like the more little creaks I can feel in my body. So yeah, I think that strength training is really good for that. I know I've done a lot of like deep digging and researching into kind of how to preserve yourself in a healthy state, and strength training is a really good part of that. Although I do still like going out on the water here, rowing. Maybe I'll show you that one time. And yeah, I love running as well. It's a warm day today. I can feel already that it's going to be warm, but it's very beautiful. You can see the water's really still and nice. So I'm going to go and treat myself to some breakfast, because I love to do that when I have a full day. I can just go and take my time. Yeah, hopefully the food will be yummy. It usually is. I'm going to show you. Okay, so I have just finished my breakfast, and this place here, rock a lot, and this walk actually just along the waterfront to the beach, it's literally my favourite part about living here in Setúbal, and I do it every day. I think they're probably sick of seeing me here, even if I'm just getting a little drink, or yeah, sometimes I just come and sit on one of the benches, and I just feel very grounded when I'm here, which is really, really nice. And I thought, given that I have just been eating, I would touch a little bit on how I have, I guess, recovered or am recovering from having an eating disorder. Some people did ask me a while ago on one of the videos to speak about this, so I thought that it would be a good time to speak about it. So actually it's taken me a really, really, really long time and a lot of concentrated effort to change my relationship with exercise and with food, and also both of them at the same time. So first I think it came the exercise for me. So I actually tore my hamstring a few years ago, and at the time I was like performing as an athlete, like I was training every day, maybe multiple times a day, and I was also restricting my eating. And then when I tore my hamstring, I had to stop. And yeah, it was an interesting experience because my whole identity was kind of around being an athlete or being someone who moves a lot, who controls maybe their food and loves food but controls it. And so basically then I couldn't move for a while. I had to rest. I couldn't do much exercise. I didn't take a very proactive approach to it. Didn't seek help. Probably should have got like a physio or something like that, but I just kind of stopped exercising. And looking back, it was probably the best way that it could have happened for me personally, because I'm a bit of a 0 or 100% kind of person, all in or all out, and so it gave me the opportunity to kind of completely stop exercising. And I love food, so it also meant that I couldn't really restrict food in the same way. Like the exercise and the food were so closely linked that actually when I stopped exercising completely, it really changed my relationship with food. Like I didn't see it in the same way. Before, I'd seen it as like a reward for moving. So if I've done X amount of exercise or burnt X amount of calories, then I can eat that amount in food. So it was really nice. Well, actually, no, it was really hard. It was really hard at the beginning to be a completely different person, be somebody who actually just yeah, like doesn't exercise much and eats a normal amount of food and doesn't restrict what they're eating. And that took a really long time. So it was probably about a year and a half of doing no exercise. And then my body changed, I put on weight. That was really difficult for me at first because I probably had a lot of judgment, which is really sad, but also probably a bit of a societal problem as well. A bit of judgment for people who didn't move a lot or had trouble with food, that sort of thing. Even though I also had my own trouble, it just came out in a different way. So when I put on weight, I had to change my relationship with my body, and that was the biggest challenge for me of my life, I think, to be able to be content and feel worthy of being alive with a body that looked different, with a body that had more weight, wasn't toned anymore, and I didn't have the same strength or, I guess, mobility, flexibility, that sort of thing. So it was a really, really difficult year and a half of like reshaping my whole identity with food and with exercise. And when I had healed properly from my hamstring injury, and I wanted to go back into exercise. This is why it was a year and a half, because it took me so long to be able to go back to exercise without going to the same place again. So without just starting, in my head I'd be like, okay, I can just exercise 3 times a week like a normal person. I can go to the gym 3 times a week, but then that never happened. Then I'd become like stupidly obsessed with what I was doing, like training twice a week and again restricting my food, and I couldn't seem to like break this pattern, and I had to keep going back to like not exercising and then healing my relationship with food, like getting into a good rhythm with food and not restricting it in any way, and then I'd have to try again. One thing that really helped me was to change up the exercise form that I did. So I actually, when I used to train as an athlete and I was rowing, we'd do a lot of cross training. There was a lot of running. There was a lot of strength training in the gym. Obviously, we were on the rowing machine a lot and we were on the water a lot in the boats. And so any exercise that was kind of linked with this and this like association in my brain, I had to kind of let go for a little while, because every time I tried to go back to it, the same thing would happen. So what I did is started Pilates. Reformer Pilates at the time was becoming like a really popular thing in London. That's where I was living. And so I started to go maybe like 2 or 3 times a week to Pilates. It was a really different form of exercise, so I didn't feel like my body was attached to any sort of outcome with it. And yeah, I really enabled myself actually to start Pilates and be like, if you get really tired and you don't feel like you can push through, you can stop doing the repetitions, you can just basically a really like less disciplined version of exercise, which I think is what I probably needed to do to sort of change my approach to exercise, given that I'd been super disciplined before. And so yeah, that really helped. I feel like Pilates actually healed my relationship a bit with exercise, and that's been now probably about 2.5 years since that happened and since I sort of started working on this. And so now I've slowly started going back to the gym again, really listening to my body. It's such a different place than how I was training before, like actually interestingly at the time I had like the implant, which is a form of birth control, and it actually prevented me from having my cycle at all, or having periods at all. And so with that, it meant that I could train kind of like a man, like all month the same way. And it's been a very long time since I had that, and so probably about 6 years I haven't had any form of contraception, and it hasn't kind of interacted with my hormones. So now it's so different, like I have to be careful that I'm listening to my body at different parts of the cycle. I mean, be careful, it's kind of impossible to ignore it. A lot of the time I can feel it desperately if my body doesn't have the energy to move in the same way, and it's really nice because then I can just respond to it like that. It's taken me a long time to get to a place where I can listen, where I can hear my body and also listen, because I think in the past I might have heard it sort of protest, but I would just ignore it and carry on anyway, and that was kind of what was expected of me anyway as an athlete, whereas now I kind of get the choice, I guess. I get the choice to train in the way that suits my body better. And yeah, it's going really well. I feel like I haven't had a time of like restricting my eating for a long time, maybe even like a year. That's been like a really positive outcome. It wasn't sort of 0 to nothing. It was gradual, I would like be doing really well and then I would go back to restricting it and then have to sort of correct that with self-awareness. I think for me, when I was training as an athlete and I did have those difficulties, it was definitely through a lack of self-awareness. Like I don't think I really even understood that it was like unusual to be maybe overtraining in the way that I was, and also restricting food. It was also difficult because for the type of rowing that I did, it was like a lightweight team and we were weighed in. And that is really where the difficulties began, where it was I'm 5'6", so I'm like relatively tall for the weight that we needed to be, which was under 59 kilograms. And so it was like a lot of effort for me to stay under that, and I think that's where it started being a bit of a problem, where I was controlling more what I was eating and weighing myself a lot, and doing like sweat runs if I felt like I was going to be over for a competition or something like this. So it feels like a long time ago that was the case, but I do feel like the self-awareness around it, the realization that it was maybe not that healthy for me, which helped going to therapy, was something that I had mentioned in therapy, and then the therapist sort of picked up and sort of talked to me. Yeah, she talked to me about that, and that was really, really helpful. And so, now I'm still obviously on the journey of it. It's going well right now. And again, I'm trying to limit myself to like 4 days a week maximum, going to the gym and not feeling bad if I don't, because that was something else that I really struggled with as well. But yeah, it's going well. So now I have finished my breakfast and I am walking home. I'm going to have a little bit of rest in the house. I'm going to do some Portuguese learning because that's important for me to do every day, otherwise it sort of feels clunky when I come back to it. And then I'm also going to practice my ukulele because I love it and I haven't done that either for a few days, so I'm going to do that and then get ready to go and have my hair cut. Okay, so I just got home and made myself a banana shake because I've been really obsessed with them lately. I don't know what it is, but I cannot stop drinking banana milkshake. Sometimes that happens to me where I go through phases where I really love something, and for some reason this is just giving me energy. Also recently I have started to take a creatine powder when I go to the gym. So I've been doing a bit of research into creatine and the benefits that it can have, especially for women. Interestingly, when I was doing my undergrad degree in psychology, my thesis was actually on the impact of creatine on cognition, which is so funny. Anyway, that was before it kind of became a thing or a supplement that was used quite frequently for exercise, for the gym world. And I've got to say, I've only been doing it for maybe 2 weeks and I'm feeling a lot better when I do take it. So it's in here mixed up with my banana shake because I tried to take it on its own and it's kind of disgusting. Well, I have like a non-flavored one. I think it's quite a good powder, but I don't like the texture. So it's good in here. So I'm going to drink this. I'm going to have a shower, get changed, and have a chill afternoon before I get my haircut. Okay, so it's time for my Portuguese learning section of my chill day. You can see that all the shutters in my apartment are down to try and keep out the sun, keep the apartment cool. It's going to be a really hot day, I think like 32 degrees today, so it's a really good functionality that this apartment has. I guess a lot of Portuguese apartments have it too. So when I do Portuguese learning at home, it looks a little bit different than what I might do in my classes. A lot of people have asked me actually about how my journey has been in terms of learning Portuguese. Number one, it's really, really hard. I actually have between 2 and 3 classes a week, and I still feel like my progress is painfully slow. I struggle with some of the pronunciation, although I think it's getting better, but sometimes I can't really guess at learning a new word. So if I see a new word, it takes me a while to figure out how that might be said with a Portuguese pronunciation. And I love my lessons. At the moment, I'm doing A1.3, so that's the sort of level that I am at, and I've been kind of going from A1, A1.1, A1.2, A1.3, and hopefully I'll carry on until I get to somewhere like I can speak Portuguese. But at home, I've actually been doing a little bit of reading. So this is O Clube dos Sete, and this is actually a book by Enid Blyton, which is also a book that I read as a child. Quando era criança, lia O Clube dos Sete, and so I kind of know the story a little bit, or at least I had to do a bit of Googling because, to be honest, it was a long time ago that I read it. So I had to recap the story, but then it kind of came back to me. So it's a really good practice for me to read something that I kind of already know the plot of, and I've noticed that this is sort of accessible to me. There's a lot of words and vocabulary in here that I still don't know, but most of the time, at least for the first 10 pages, which is what I've read so far, I can kind of understand what is happening, at least the gist. I don't think I can fully appreciate like the written style of the book, but I definitely can get the gist of what is happening. So yeah, this is what I'm gonna spend a few minutes doing now, just to try and practice that. Next on my list is practicing listening more to things in Portuguese, because that's probably the thing I do least. It's also the thing that I found that I struggle with most. When I first started learning Portuguese, when I first moved here, I actually found it really difficult to communicate at all verbally. So it was actually my speech that was the problem, like actually speaking. And I couldn't really hold a conversation, and I had to get by like the odd few words here and there, even when I felt like I understood what someone was saying. Recently, this seems to have taken a turn, and now I feel like my speaking has got a lot better, and I can probably have a conversation slowly, like when I have my online lesson, which is once a week usually. I can sort of have a conversation with my tutor in Portuguese, which is great. My understanding seems to have fallen off a cliff. I don't know what has happened, but recently I've had lots of experiences where I've understood literally nothing of what someone is trying to say to me, and my brain sort of just freezes. So that's next on my list. I really love cooking shows. I watch a lot of cooking shows and interior design shows in English. So I'm hoping to find some things in Portuguese that I can watch with subtitles. English subtitles. If you know of anything, please let me know, because I would absolutely love that. Anyway, I'm going to do some reading, and then I'm going to play a bit of ukulele.
Zigue-zague, lambeço os envelopes. Lamber era uma das suas especialidades. Lambidelas. Não está, disse-lhes a mãe da amiga. Oh, que pena, lamentou São Pedro.
Lado. I have been learning the ukulele now for about a month, I think. Maybe 2 months actually. I saw a little post in a group. There's a Facebook group here called Our Setúbal Community, and on there people post things that they're doing. There was a woman, she posted that she wanted to have like a social ukulele group for people who are new to ukulele or not new to ukulele to come and join and like play together, sing together. I love singing, and I'm not that musical in terms of instruments, so I thought maybe the ukulele was a good place to start. So yeah, I've been learning it now for about 2 months. I haven't been giving it my all. It's kind of like something I do for about 10-15 minutes a day, and then I go to the group once a month, and it seems to be going quite well. I love it, but I'm finding it quite difficult. I think that I really struggle for my brain to do 2 things at once. So like the strumming pattern and also singing at the same time. This is actually really difficult. I think I've just about got it. But yeah, I need to practice like every single day, because otherwise if I leave it a few days, I come back to it and my brain is like, nope, we can't do this. One thing that I started doing was actually like playing the strumming pattern and then talking at the same time first, because I just literally could not sing. Like it would not work. And every time I tried to sing, the strumming pattern went off. So yeah, I started trying to actually talk out loud while I was doing it. That seemed to help a little bit, but yeah, I'm still really at the beginning of this.
but it's really made me feel more creative. I love to sing. I love to kind of make up songs in my head and out loud, just like when I'm in the house. So it's been a nice little instrument that I can pair some of that singing with. So I'm going to do a bit of practice now. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. Okay, so I am on my way to go and get my hair cut. Feeling a little bit nervous. I am very particular about my hair. I really don't enjoy getting it cut. That's why it's so long. But it's starting to look a little bit unhealthy, and since I moved to Setúbal I haven't found a hairdresser, so my friend recommended this person. I'm hoping I'll be able to communicate what I want and just get a little bit of a trim and for it to be a bit more healthy. And also it's got to that annoying length where sometimes I get it stuck under my elbow when I move around, so really need to get it cut. Yeah, hopefully I'm going to record it and show you the process. Okay, I have had my haircut and it looks so good and I'm very happy, although it did take quite a long time. I appreciate the attention to detail and the perfection in which he cut my hair. However, I am now late to head into Lisbon. I need to get ready and I need to have a shower because it's so hot and I've been sweating for the entire time. So once I get back, quick shower, then get changed, then put on makeup, which I barely ever do, and I'm just going to put on a little bit because I'm sweating all off anyway. And then I'll be headed into Lisbon for Santos and my friend's birthday. Okay guys, I had quite a serious get ready with me planned, but I am late, outfit's on, I am sweaty, my hair that is newly done is looking terrible, but hopefully I can redeem it. And then I'm going to head into Lisbon as soon as possible, so here we are.
Fresh paint on the week, new shade in the streets, all in my calm, like gold, watch my whole world unfold.
It's so good meeting you, like I love you so much and I really appreciate our friendship.
Very glad. Okay everyone, so we're on a night out. would love to know what you get up to on your day off, whether you live in Portugal or somewhere else in the world. And thank you so much for watching. Sending so much love to you all.